What is up, everybody? Welcome to Self-Growth Saturday. Today, we're going to be talking about discernment of spirits, interpreting messages from spirit guides.
Yes, and I want you to stay to the end because we do have a secret weapon for you to take your badass life to the next level. In fact, probably two secret weapons. This is going to be fun because we get questions about how do you listen to your guides all the time, and we're going to lay some stuff on you.
Right.
But for those of you that are just getting to know us, I'm Heather.
And I'm David.
I'm Samuel's Garden.
Helping people create
badass lives. So let's talk for a minute. I want to ask you a question. Do you think your spirit guide, and I'm air quote bunnying that for a reason, or your inner wisdom is your subconscious mind, or sometimes your super conscious mind? Is it your higher self? Is it a totally separate being like God, goddess, archangels? Is it grandma or your aunt that passed away, or an angel, or possibly all of the above? Who do you think your spirit guide or inner wisdom is? What is that voice that is speaking to you and guiding you?
Right. And just let us know in the comments what you believe as far as what is your spirit guide and what is your inner wisdom.
And I think that may or may not be as important to know as you might think. And we're going to explore some things around that. So I think, here's the thing. We get really hung up on the messenger instead of the process and the feeling of the message. And we can actually, in that, trying to find out who it is, sabotage the message process itself. So before we get into mediumship stuff, like what spirit am I talking to? Are they bad? Are they good? Or we need to figure out how we're listening, right?
Yep. So Kirsten says, I'm not sure. And Akia says, I feel like it's all of the above.
I like the all of the above message because I kind of think that it just depends. But I do think this live is going to be about being a better receiver, because I think that's where we screw up. Because we get messages from all over the place, from the inside of our mind, from our own panic, from grandma trying to speak to us from the other side, from our angels, whatever it is. And if our radio station, the floor is dirty and it's messy, that doesn't matter who's speaking to us. The message isn't going to get through in the right way.
If our floor is dirty?
In the radio station.
On the radio?
In the radio station.
If there's a lot of static on the line.
So I need to clean my floors today.
Right. So the message being delivered, if you've got a radio station that has, or a bunch of radio stations that all have great music and they're playing songs that you really love, the key component is the message. The message are the songs that you love with all these different stations. So the better thing is to get a better radio station, better speakers, you get better quality.
Well, let's assume all the stations you're listening to, different angels and grandma, inner wisdom, all these stations are playing a song about love. And they're all songs and they're all good. And we have a really crappy radio in our car. We can't really pick up on any of them. So we get a better speakers. We clean up the sound. We improve. We eliminate that static, and we receive the messages so much better. So after a while, you might not even need a radio. Let's say the radio is a certain guide, and turn it off. And you just feel inspired on your own. You kind of directly connect. You might make up or channel a song about love that is totally inspired, and kind of cut out the middleman. So sometimes we slow ourselves down with the trivia and the details. This kind of, I've got a question this week about, do I need a spirit guide to talk to my mom or my grandma? And we're like, no, just directly connect. Just like think about them and tune in. But sometimes that seems like a big leap. So we want an intermediary. But sometimes when we get caught up on the details, it sort of slows us down.
And here's the thing, when it comes to a family member, especially somebody that you're already close to in spirit, is that you've already got a direct connection with them. You already know what they're like. You already know what their energy is like, their soul, their spirit, whatever you want to call it. You already know that energy. So it's easier for you to tap into that radio station. You've already got it on preset.
So just directly connect, because your grandma didn't need a secretary in real life. You can just kind of tune into her, as you go. So let's read a couple of the comments.
And Nima says, energy source. Chelsea says, I think mine's a combo between my grandmother / gut instincts. I like that one. And I like all of them. And then Purple Butterfly says, I think it's someone I've never met.
All of these are It can be true. So it really is about improving yourself as a receiver.
Right.
So we're going to break down this really simply into 2 clear guidelines.
And make it super simple.
Make it super simple. And then we're going to give you 11 rapid fire badass tips for trusting and improving your receiver.
For trusting your own intuition
Yes.
and improving yourself as the receiver.
So the inner voice, okay, I'm going to air quote a lot today, I think.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a lot of
The inner voice is known by many names. For our purposes, it does not matter which name you choose. As you progress on your spiritual path, you might call it different things. It can be God, Goddess, Holy Spirit, your conscience, Jiminy Cricket, your spirit guide, your subconscious. And I want to tell you something really important. This applies if you believe in an afterlife or don't believe in an afterlife. Or if you're an atheist or you believe in God. I think it all applies because we all need inner guidance.
Yeah.
So if you don't believe in an afterlife, you still need some inner guidance from this life. Then you might it just might be your super conscious, subconscious mind. So all of these rules and guidelines that we are going to give you apply regardless
of the name you choose.
Yes.
Whatever you call the thing, it doesn't matter. The thing works the same.
Let's get into listening 101 before I get to the tips. So we often ask for guidance, right? But we forget to listen afterwards.
Yes.
Okay, this is a 2-part process of traditionally prayer and meditation.
Right.
Which is, in the Eastern cultures, it's sort of, you understand that 2-part process. I think in the West, we kind of just ask and don't listen. So we've been trained to pray and petition, but we have been sort of trained out of listening. It can be prayer and meditation in sort of an old school, or if you prefer to be more new agey and shit, intention setting and allowance.
Right. And the second part is what requires the art of listening. And listening definitely is an art because you have to know how to use your ears, your instrument, your entire body, mind, and spirit as that instrument to tune it into listening. Because the important part is not the asking. It is the receiving of the answer, the direction, the guidance, the inspiration, the intuition. So you go. Yeah.
In a nutshell, if you are not listening right, it doesn't matter who's talking.
So whatever name you call the thing is irrelevant if you're not listening to the thing.
So here's a side note. We sometimes feel as though the more we shout our questions to the void, whatever that void is, the better answers we will get. I met an Episcopalian priest one time who was answering. I wasn't even part of the conversation. I was like peripheral of the conversation. And he was somebody who's going, I keep asking and asking and asking God, and I don't get the answer. And they're in a panic. And he says, you know what? Stop nagging God.
He's already heard you. He's already listening.
Boom, boom, truth bombed on him. He's like, you got to ask once and then do your best after that. He's like, don't nag God. You think he's got you better things to do than pick up your 20,000 messages. He heard you once.
And just because you're shouting louder doesn't mean that the question is going to get across or the answer is going to be received. Matter of fact, the more you're talking, the less you're listening.
So the more you nag God, I'm going to use that analogy because just be still and listen for the answer.
Right.
You're nagging God so much that you can't. So what happens when you nag God is that your logical mind might start to interrupt the process and start to make answers for you and create scenarios and solutions to your problem and gets in kind of a state of panic. And then you're not in your listening mind.
Or it starts creating more fears of, I'm never going to get my answer. I'm never going to get my answer. God's not listening to me. He's abandoned me. The universe, doesn't give a fuck about me.
So now you're shouting and you're panicking and you're not listening, right?
Which brings you further out of your center of listening, your intuition.
So you might not notice the answer when it comes.
Stephanie says, I once was told I was getting the wrong messages. I'm still not sure what that meant or how I could change that.
I love that because we're right now going to give you two simple ways to discern.
Starseed says, I keep getting a name, Sean, with the emphasis on the W, but I can't or am not sure how to get any info beyond that.
Okay.
If you've already got the name, keep going.
Don't worry about it.
We'll get deeper into some other techniques here today, actually, to help you discern between what's what.
One of the reasons we're giving this class right now is because we're about to start our probably 3-month-long mediumship series in Zen Ed Self-Growth Academy.
Right.
Raise your hand if you are a member of that already.
But we're going to drop it in the comments.
We're going to give our long mediumship series that is been long awaited. And so we wanted to talk about this now, because when we get hung up on the details, like I said, we miss the message. So
Right.
first, we're going to talk about what that inner voice should feel like.
It's about us helping you to open up to trusting your own messages. One of the biggest things that we'd like to do is to connect other people to their truth, to their intuition, to clear their own static on their own lines so that you can connect directly. And that's kind of one of the things that we're doing here today.
So what the inner voice should feel like. During crisis, we can be shocked into aligning with the inner voice, and it can be a life-changing experience. Sometimes we tap into that and we want to stabilize that experience.
Right.
And some other people will go back to business as usual and kind of lose that connection.
Right.
So when you feel that connection, it's important to learn how to stabilize the connection.
Right.
So you should feel two things if it is your true guidance. Okay.
And these are very important for you to pay attention to. So when you're actually experiencing true guidance, and this is for Stephanie, when you're talking about getting wrong information or wrong guidance, and for Starseed for getting the name and nothing really beyond that. How to know when you're experiencing true guidance. You'll experience this sense of peace, and you just know that things are simply going to work out.
And then number two, you begin to feel empowered and know that you can and you will prevail in that moment.
Yes.
It's like in the movies when something clicks in and you get that message and everything just clears up and time slows down and you know what to do. It's not panicked. There's no fear. There's not like this anxious, that you know there's a message coming through.
Yeah.
I don't know my guy's name. There's no fear happening in your body when the message is valid. You just feel at peace.
Right. And that's that movie moment that Heather's talking about, where you experience that epiphanic moment of clarity, where the sky opens up and everything is just like, I've got this. Okay. So that emotions again. Wow. This is awesome. Yeah. So when you've got that moment where everything just kind of stops for a moment, pauses for a moment, and you're like, I've got this. That's a moment when you know you are fully connected to absolute truth, to your soul truth, to your guides, to your guidance, to your intuition, whatever name you want to give to it. That's when you know you're connected. The static is gone. It's crisp. It's clear. Clarity.
I also want you to know that answers from your inner guide do not need to come from a prophet or a burning bush to be valid. They can be present in every moment, from a billboard, a commercial on TV, or a random song on the radio.
Or a friend just talking to you.
Life just becomes joyful. And I think before we go on to the 11 guidelines,
right.
I have seen like some habits in the metaphysical community where we're seeking answers everywhere we go.
Right.
Can you pull a card for me? And I mean, some people get obsessed to the point where they can't wake up and leave the house without getting a message.
Right.
So that sort of sign seeking is coming from fear.
Yes.
So when you're seeking, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Obsessively looking for signs on the daily about every move that you should make. That's coming from fear. So the messages you get back are probably not going to come from spirit.
Right.
They're probably going to come from your logical mind trying to get a solution for you.
Right. Right.
So I see this often with people who overuse their pendulums, for instance. They'll use the pendulum in the supermarket. Which shampoo is better for me? Just pick the one you like.
Yeah.
Because you're not relying on your inner guidance. You're trying to get an answer from outside of yourself and not make a mistake. That's where I think we slip out of alignment with that inner guidance that's the true guidance. And we get into fear and start making decisions from fear, from inner guidance that might not be right.
Right.
Make sense?
There it is. And we'll talk about the two voices here in just a moment.
Yeah.
Before we get to that, I wanted to touch on a couple other comments. Marie says, can hypnosis help with connecting to self and that sense of peace? I know meditation does, but was curious about hypnosis. Yes. Hypnosis can be a great way for you to kind of connect to that truth inside of you and bypass that fear center and get into, peaceful, calm, connected, truthful. Yes, hypnosis, and especially when it's done with somebody who really knows what they're doing or specializes in spiritual type hypnosis, absolutely. And by the way, the guided meditations that we do include a lot of techniques from hypnosis. So you're already in a hypnotic state when you're going through those particular guided meditations.
It's a very similar state, meditation, hypnosis, all of those things. And that's the state you should feel is calm. Talk about a question that we get all the time, and that is how to contact my inner guide. when you mentioned about, their guide's name is Sean and all of these things.
But I don't get anything beyond that.
You've already contacted them and they've already contacted you, whether that's your inner wisdom or your outer spirit guide. Like I said, it doesn't matter. It's how you receive it. The question you should ask instead is, how do I listen to my inner guide? Because it's not how do I contact me, how do I listen to my inner guide? Because it's always there.
Right, because the contact is really easy. The contact is probably already established before you're consciously searching for the contact. The contact is already there. The line is already there. The radio station's already putting out the music. You just have to learn how to turn on your station, turn on your radio.
Got to go to Radio Shack and get some Alpines. And throw out those jinkety Kmart speakers. That's
I don't know if I go to Radio Shack anymore. Okay, Radio Shack is that Kmart.
Well, I don't know. I'm just trying to make an analogy. Yeah. Okay, so there's two voices that we listen to. I want you to start here and then go forward with listening to your own messages. And I think Stephanie was asking about her grandma. I want you to start tapping in right now to your grandma. I want you right now to start thinking about her, connecting with her, seeing what she feels like, and then pay attention to the feeling that you get.
I wanted to kind of address a little funny that happened. Starseed was talking about getting the name Sean with the emphasis on the W. And then Sean, one of our people in Zen Ed Academy, he's like, I keep hearing my name. What's going on? So that is one of the universal spiritual funnies that happens when your guides start messing with you. Or it could just be a coincidence.
It could be that your guide is Sean, or it could be that you were just precogging that Sean was going to come on the other platform, because you're on YouTube and he's on Facebook right now. So there's Sean with a W listening on another platform. But
with a W.
So you're probably just like, joom, joom, joom. Yeah. Everybody's spidey senses are opening up this morning. So let's invite our spidey senses to open up and tap in.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are two voices. First voice is stimulated by fight or flight. Okay, and is prompting you to do something now. Sometimes you need that voice. But honestly, if you're tuned into the calm, you can get a now message, but be in that calm state.
Right. So and that's the biggest difference between that fight or flight and that truth, is that sense of calm underneath it. So often this is motivated by that underlying emotion of fear. And that feeling itself is fantastic. It is letting you know that your primal mind is working as designed, although it should only apply as a first response if you're
in immediate danger of being eaten by a jaguar. So if you are, and let me make this note as we go to the second voice, if you're in immediate danger of being eaten by a jaguar and your station is clear, you might not get that fight or flight response. You might actually go, oh, there's a jaguar. Let me get my
whatever out and handle
you
business.
Might handle it in a really calm way. So the message might be now, but it might not be from that fight or flight state. So that's the first voice that most of the time is going to be wrong. Like I said, unless there's an immediate threat.
And even then, like she's talking about, if it comes in with that sense of clarity, and we've heard a whole bunch of stories. I'm sure you guys have heard stories too about near-death experiences or moments when somebody could have died and they put their seatbelt on the moment before, or they turned a different way down a particular street, but they didn't have a sense of panic about it. They just, okay, this is what I'm doing right now. Most people should drive with their seatbelts on, but that sense of calm comes with a genuine message.
So for me, I'm a kind of a person that will cruise pretty calmly through a crisis, but afterwards is when I get the adrenaline rush. Like,
that just happened. Yeah.
So the second voice is calm, still, and peaceful. This is your inner guidance. This is your true inner guidance, regardless of who's on the other end of the line. You know that you can trust the voice, whether it's your inner wisdom, your subconscious, grandma, whatever it is, it's still peaceful and calm. And it tells you not to panic or worry, but to soak in the beauty of the moment and enjoy watching the jaguars on the Wildlife Channel from the safety of your living room, because the jaguars aren't really real and they aren't really going to kill you.
Right.
So you want to stay in that calmness.
Unless you're out in South America where they might.
That's right.
But you're not. And I also wanted to address, Ryan says, I have a hard time since my guides are animals. Guides communicate in several different ways, but again, paying attention to these two voices and how the information comes in, go with a sense of knowing, go with a first impulse, and let it come from that state of peace.
So I'm seeing a lot of comments about Alexa saying, I don't feel confident knowing it's my guide or not. We're going to get into the tips in a second that will probably help you feel more confident.
Right.
Because like I said, these first two guidelines are the most important.
Yeah.
Are you feeling fear around it, or are you feeling calm and peace around it? That's it. That's all you, if you know nothing else from the 11 tips we're going to give you, you need to know those two things.
Those two, right.
So don't get caught up. Is it my guide? Is it not my guide? Can my animal guide speak to me? Can they not? It doesn't matter the guide.
Because we're, again, getting caught up on the messenger instead of the message and how it's delivered.
Feel the message.
Yes. And
feel the message.
How it comes through. Okay, because that's one of the most important parts, is how it comes through. Is it calm? Is it relaxed? Is it peaceful? Or is it fearful? Does it have that urgency, that oh shit moment? I'm trying not to swear, but fuck it. Anyway, so let us know in the comments the biggest thing that you've gotten so far, and then we'll get into the 11 tips here in just a moment.
Okay. Like I said, I wanted to clear up some of those things that I see our clients getting caught up on in the last 11 years of working together, that they consistently get caught up on the details of what it is. We want to know those details so bad, but then we get ourselves in a frenzy
and we miss the message.
And we miss it. So 11 tips for trusting your intuition.
Tip number 1 is stillness.
So be still, open, and receptive. If at first you don't receive, you might start to panic, right? Because that's what a lot of people do. If at first you don't receive, relax and allow it to enter instead of chasing it around in a frenzy trying to find it, because that's our first impulse.
Looking for that message. I know it's coming somewhere. So you're looking everywhere, but that's from a state of fear. Okay, that's from the state of fear and panic. Chill out, relax. Because force creates resistance. Anytime that you try to push or pressure something, it's going to fight back and it's going to close down. So it closes down that conduit information so that you can't really hear it. Even if you're getting messages that are coming from fear, you're not going to get the right messages at the right time.
So number 2 is detachment. Do not be attached to the answer or the outcome. A lot of times, whether we like it or not, we have a preconceived idea of what the answer should be. You got to have faith.
Oh, no, that's not right.
Right. You got to have faith that you are always receiving what you need.
Right. Attempting to strong arm your inner voice into giving you the answer you want only causes that inner voice to shut off and your fight or flight voice to step in. So
don't strong arm your inner voice. We see people do this might not apply to you.
Right.
But we see people doing it all the time.
It is very common to get attached to the outcome, especially if you're coming from an emotional place.
Well, and then often what do? We blame our guides. Then we go back to, is it my guide or not my guide? Is it a bad guide? How did you receive the message in the first place? Were you calm and peaceful when you first received it? So you might get the answer and it doesn't quite feel right. Just kind of have faith, go with it. If it's going to change and shift into the right thing eventually. The important part is, did you feel calm and peaceful when you first received it?
And it might be a piece that says, are you ready? It might be a little test to say, are you ready for the actual answer? I'm going to give you this little nugget. And if you take this in the state of peace and calm and go with trust and faith, then you're going to get more. If you start going into panic, oh no, that's not it, that's not it, that's not it, well, then those messages are going to close down.
And that's where you can really kind of freak yourself out and trip your brain up and get into that kind of psychotic behavior almost, where you're like, oh, I don't know who to listen to, and you get kind of crazy. So anyway, detachment.
Fear creates more fear. Lesson tip 3 is assurance. Listen with assurance. Be assured that the universe is working for you.
So see the blessing, see the lesson, and seek to know your part within that answer, within that guidance. Don't whine and ask for the situation to change without first asking if you've learned what you have needed from the situation or the answer or whatever it is. This is a tricky thing to teach, this whole how to listen to your guide, because messages from spirit, from our subconscious, can be super subjective, and we can alter it by our emotional state, by our mental state, by a lot of other factors. So coming back always to that number 1, which is calm, still, and peaceful, and listening and open is the best place to be.
Because if you're asking for a situation to change, but you haven't learned the lesson is going to continue showing up in different ways.
So number 4 is trust. Know that your answers can and do come from everywhere and everyone, even your enemies. whatever that means to you. And when you ask, you will receive. Truth can come from anywhere. And sometimes it doesn't seem to fit into our accepted belief system. But trust.
A quote from that is out of the mouth of babes.
Right.
Okay, so out of the mouth of babes comes truth, because their channels are clear. They're not worried about saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing, or whether or not the information is real or if it's just fake or whatever. They let it flow. So the more that you let it flow, the more you will see. And if you've got your eyes set on seeing the growth and the opportunity and the lesson and the positive from any experience, I don't care how difficult the experience is, if you keep looking for the positive, you will find it.
Okay, so number 5 is assessment. If you feel yourself resisting and rejecting ideas or peaceful thoughts that you get just because they're unfamiliar, stop and reassess. Maybe the idea is valid, but you're resisting it because of an unknown fear.
Right.
Okay.
So stop and reassess.
Like I said, there are multitudinous ways that we trip ourselves up when receiving guidance. We feel like our life is really shitty and our guides are not speaking to us. I'm in pain. I'm in suffering. My guides aren't listening. I'm asking. It's continually having faith and coming back to that peace and calm for yourself, because the answer might be there. It's just you're not hearing it. You're not feeling it because you're panicking or in fear.
Right. And when you're in that state of fight or flight, when you're in that state of pain and suffering, you're going to call more pain and suffering to you. When you, no matter how difficult, start looking for the blessing in the situation, no matter how jacked up the situation may seem, you will start to find your way out. Especially if it feels like you're in a complete state of darkness, you may find your way out if you're looking for the light. If you're not looking for the light, you're going to remain in that darkness, in that circle of holy shit, and never get out of it.
Like I said, this is a tricky one because everybody's situation is different and everybody feels their life differently. But these are just some general guidelines that hopefully one of them will resonate with you, and you'll be able to kind of tune in to a message, a piece, whatever it is that you need for your particular life.
Right.
Number 6 is patience. And this tests all of us. I don't care who you are.
Right.
Be patient and willing to accept the answer is coming in the best time frame for you, because this is a lot. We get caught up on how long is it going to take? When am I going to be out of this situation? The time frame is right for you. Trust that it is, that along that time frame, you might have lessons to learn that that aren't in your awareness yet. I know I've gone through this. I've suffered from, some health things of my own that I were told, aren't going to be cured.
Incurable,
but just kind of like, I know I've got lessons to learn while I'm in the middle of this. I had a lot of fear, like I'm never going to be cured from this. But I was, because I kind of kept going back, and it took a little bit of willpower, kept going back to that peacefulness, kept going back to that patience. The time is right. It's not my timing. I want it done now.
Right.
But the timing was perfect, because if I hadn't had every single lesson along the way, I wouldn't be who I am now.
Right.
So the time frame is right for you.
And that time frame is coming from your higher wisdom, your inner wisdom that knows the bigger picture that you can't see when you're in the darkness.
So it's not the time frame you might think is logically right. So a plan is already underway for your highest good. You just kind of have to go back to that. That always sounds like a really fruity thing to say, but it's kind of true. Okay, so allow the answer to come when it's ready. Don't force it.
Right. Next, we get into 7, which is releasing judgment.
So don't judge the messenger or the way it was delivered. And this is where Dave was precogning the 5-year-old thing. So just because a 5-year-old doesn't have a doctorate in theology doesn't mean she can't give you a divinely inspired message. So I hear children say like brilliant, profound things all the time. So release judgment about the message and the messenger. These are not easy things to do. None of these 11 tips. We all have challenges surrounding all of them, but that's part of being human and learning to listen better.
And I also wanted to talk about judgment for a moment, because when we're in a situation that seems hopeless, we continue to create that storyline in our mind that it's hopeless. And what we're actually doing there is we're perpetuating the cycle of pain because we choose not to see the light in the situation. Have faith that somewhere It might be a long time from now. Who knows how long it's going to be, but have faith that somewhere there will be an out for you. There will be a way for you to release and relieve your pain. If you do not believe that, you will continue to create pain in your life, no matter how much good might be there for you.
Like I said, a lot of things are really hard, okay? But
Right.
this is all of these 11 tips about clearing up the static on your line to be a better listener. So the first 2 steps were simple, guys. These are the work.
Yes.
So number 8 is release fear.
And it takes a lot of work to, especially with fear, it takes a lot of work to face these fears and to overcome them to that state of peace.
So if you can proceed without fear and with the assurance that all will be well and keep coming back to that and go forward without the fear of doing it wrong or making mistakes, even your mistakes, I told you I was going to bunny ear all day,
Right.
are going to turn out to be the right choice. So be at peace as you move forward.
Right.
A lot of this is about being at peace, being
Right.
at peace, being at peace.
Then we get into number 9.
Number 9.
And this comes from a state of peace, is be spontaneous.
So a lot of times with our messages, we get really rigid. I have to do it this way. I have to do it this way. The future is like a river that continues to flow and change, and circumstances can change, and there's free will at play everywhere, which is why it's so hard to nail down, something really rigid. Allow for surprises and unexpected creative elements to kind of spontaneously
Erupt. Yes.
and be inspired in ways
Right.
that you didn't expect. Release expectations for how you think that things should go.
Right. And then we get to number 10, and this is take action. Guidance requires action in order for that guidance to be validated.
So if you don't do anything with your information, it doesn't come to life.
Right.
Without action, our faith without the work, it becomes impotent or dead. And we tend to not get more messages. So there's a concept of grace I talk about a lot. It sounds very religious, but it's common
It's
in
universal,
every
right.
spiritual system on the planet. And grace is the concept of, a lot of people go, I'm saved by grace, but don't understand the concept of it. The concept is you do the very best that you can do. And that best might be 20% because you're in chronic pain. Your life is really sucking right now. Whatever that is that's happening to you, you've only got 20%. You do your best with that 20% and you ask for guidance, and the universe, God, source, energy, whatever that is going to fill in that 80% for you.
Right.
If your best is 90%, do 90. Universe is going to fill in 10. So that's where that faith and work and grace alchemy happens.
So faith plus work equals grace.
Yep.
So you do as much as you can. You have faith that the universe has got your back, and you move forward in the best possible way for you.
And grace has the best interest dividends on the planet because it's like a big percentage. I don't know what, but infinite percentage. So number 11, CTFO. Okay, this is the most important. Have peace that you are guided and you're going to be where you need to be and have what you need in any given moment.
Right. So CTFO, chill the funk out.
Yes, we're trying not to swear right now because we're on YouTube. YouTube is more stringent. Facebook doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah. So, yeah.
All right.
You're funny. Okay. You don't have to be the best, just do your best.
That is right, Aaron.
Right. And Rachel, I did want to address your comments and everything that you've been going through. We haven't been ignoring. We've just been kind of going through the live. Pain, especially chronic pain, is a very difficult thing to deal with. But I want you to realize how powerful you are in the situation. You are the most powerful being in the universe.
Rachel,
keep in mind,
it's tough. Chronic pain is tough. We have a lot of clients with chronic pain. We work with it all the time, and it is difficult.
Right.
Difficult to continue to come back to that place of peace.
And we're not trying to dismiss. We're not trying to dismiss or neglect or downplay any of the pain that you're going through, because it's a very real thing for you right now. It doesn't have to be that way forever, and your reaction to the situation is the key component. It is the most important piece. And if you're ready to hear it now, fantastic. And if you're not ready to hear it now, I do hope that someday you will be ready to hear how powerful you are.
Too, guys, it's really okay to be pissed off if you're in chronic pain
Absolutely.
and things are going to shit. I've been there. I've been in a situation where I didn't know when I was going to get out of a health situation, if at all, for 2 years, and
She literally could not speak.
Rough. So it's no joke. Chronic pain is no joke because it's very difficult to tune into spirit, into guidance, into peace and calm when your body feels terrible.
Right.
So for those with chronic pain, it is really a big challenge because your physical body is present. It's always yelling at you. So Rachel, I mad respect for you. It's a difficult thing. So
it's a tough journey, but we do have faith that you will find the way out when you're ready.
Yeah.
We want to know where you are on your journey.
Are you kind of just starting out? If you are, we've got a free group where we go live once a week, and we have a lot of free resources, a lot of videos and meditations you have access to.
That group helps you to understand why you do the things you do, to break patterns, old patterns in your life, to build better habits, to do the things you want to create your badass life. The other one is our Self-Growth Academy. That is when you're ready to master your life, when you're ready to take it to the next level, you can join our Zen Ed Self-Growth Academy to help you master your life, to help you find emotional peace, positive mindset, healthy relationships, intuitive development. All of these things are a part of that, as well as the first run of our
hope you use that as guidance. And like I said, this has been a common thing for so many of our clients over the last 11 years. And the struggle with how do I get to that place of peace and listen to what the universe, God, source wants for me? And are they even there listening?
Right.
Are they even there trying to help me?
Right.
So, I mean, I feel that from so many, and I've gone through it myself. We are super happy to have you join us this morning. And hope you guys have a wonderful, amazing day. We know that your time is valuable.
You could be doing anything else in the world, and we understand that time is a valuable resource and commodity, and the fact that you guys choose to spend that with us is absolutely appreciated. We love you. We love you guys hanging out with us. We love hanging out with you guys. Thank you guys for joining us.
And we will see you next week on Self-Growth Saturday.
All right. Be sure to like if you like this video, share with a friend if it's helped you in any way, and click the bell to turn notifications on so you're the first to know
whenever we go live or drop a new video. And we will see you guys in the next video.
See you then.